listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Good afternoon, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Friday, August the 30th. I am your host, Michael Leva. Happy Labor Day weekend. It's here. It's a great holiday, one to relax. I hope everyone can find, I know not everyone has every day's off, has off the whole weekend, and some people do have to work and stuff. So you do have our support for those people who do have to work over this weekend. But if you can at least find a day or so to relax, unwind, spend some time with family and friends, I really hope everyone can at least have a day or two off to just sort of relax. It's been it's Labor Day. We're getting sort of towards the holiday season. So football season's upon us. So I really do hope everyone can enjoy a little bit of this Labor Day weekend. Lots to talk about on today's show. The big story Friday morning, Mike McDaniel got a contract extension. We'll talk about that. But first, today's show is brought to you by Caneswear. Caneswear is the place to go for officially licensed apparel for the Dolphins, the Heat, the Miami Hurricanes, the Florida Panthers, and all of the professional and college teams in South Florida. Looking for the latest jersey, a gift, or the newest hat to hit the open market for your favorite South Florida team? Check out Caneswear for their overwhelming selection of sports apparel. Located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida, Caneswear has it all. Not in South Florida? Don't worry. Visit Caneswear.com to shop their inventory from the comfort of your home. And yes, they ship internationally as well. Caneswear.com is the spot that Miami fans shop. That's Caneswear.com. Caneswear.com. And real quick, talking about apparel, we here at DolphinsTalk.com, we have our own little store where you can buy mugs with our logos on it. You can buy T-shirts with our logos on it from right here at DolphinsTalk.com. And we teamed up with the guys at the Dolphins Dive that they have our store. If you want any of that stuff, just go to our main website, scroll down till you see the link to merchandise and the Dolphins Dive. You can get our logo apparel. Well, we decided to have a little fun. This week, obviously, in the news, a lot of talk about the offensive line. Chris Grier last year at his press conference told everyone, you guys are more worried about the offensive line than we are. And then earlier this week when he was talking to the press, he was asked a bunch of questions about the offensive line. He laughed and goes, we laugh about this behind the scenes, but really, you guys are more worried about the offensive line than we are. Well, guess what? We made a shirt. It says, you guys are more worried about the offensive line than we are. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the shirt right now. If you're listening in audio form, go to our website, DolphinsTalk.com. Scroll down to the Dolphins Dive. Click it, and you can find it in our section of the store. And all the money that we make from this shirt, 100% will be donated to the Dolphins Challenge Cancer. We're not going to keep any of the money. It's in fun. We're just having a little bit of fun with this because we know how many fans are worried about the offensive line. We know everything going on. It's always a hot topic. So we took the quote, put it on a shirt with our logo, and we're going to sell this shirt and all the money and hopefully raise a little bit of money for the Miami Dolphins Challenge Cancer and that great cause they run. So check it out. And if you can, buy the shirt. All right, Friday morning. Jeff Darlington of ESPN, he reported that the Miami Dolphins have given Mike McDaniel a contract extension that extends him through 2028. And my initial thoughts, which are still my thoughts at this moment, is this is a good move by the Miami Dolphins in smart business. If you're going to give Tua $230 million, you may as well keep the guy who unleashed him and got the most out of him and keep him in place a bit longer with the quarterback. The most important position in any NFL organization, the most important anything in the organization is having the head coach and quarterback in place and having them on the same page. Now, are they the right guys to have in place? I don't know yet, but we know they're on the same page, and we know Mike McDaniel has gotten the most out of Tua, so it makes no sense to rock this boat. Let's line up their contracts exactly, and that's pretty much what they've done. And, well, not quite exactly, but yeah, I think it is exactly, actually. And we're going to move forward from here because we're going to sink or swim as fans of this team together with Mike McDaniel and Tua before we blow this up and start over if we have to. Hopefully we don't have to do that. But this contract does line up, pretty much everything with Tua's contract, Tyreek's contract he just got, Waddle's, and now Mike McDaniel's. Now, not exactly in years, but pretty much with those four, exactly when you can move on with them. So saying they got a 3-year window. I've said 2024, 2025, 2026. If they haven't won anything of any significance, like a few AFC East crowns, a few playoff games, whatever, they're going to want to move on, especially from the head coach and especially from the quarterback. And by that point, Tyreek's going to probably be aged out to where you're going to pay him that much. You're going to move on from him too. Now everyone's aligned. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's got their money, and we are lined up. So obviously, with the head coach, there's no salary cap on him. So if this doesn't work by the end of 2026, if they want to move on, they're only eating 1 or 2 years as the owner. It makes it easier to move on. But yeah, we got this 3-year winning window, 2024, 2025, 2026, where after 2026, if this isn't working, the Dolphins can pretty much move on from anyone they want here. Not so much Waddle. He's a bit younger, but from the quarterback, because it's the quarterback, he gets all the credit, all the blame. From the head coach, because you only get so many years to prove that you are who you are. And from Tyreek, he would just been aged out by that point. So it's smart business. It's just smart business. So, and I said on the podcast a few weeks back, any notion that Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier are on the hot seat was silly. And I don't care how bad they are this year. Neither one of them are going anywhere. Miami could go 2-15. McDaniel's not getting fired. Grier's not getting fired. And I would not be shocked if they've already passed out Grier and extension as well. I don't know when his contract started and was up per se, or what they've done behind the scenes with him, because they really don't have to report that kind of stuff with the general manager. But I would not be shocked if he's been given a pay bump and extension as well to put him in alignment with McDaniel, with Tua, with Tyreek, with Waddle, because those are the cornerstones of this foundation. Yeah, there's young players we like with promising futures, like Chop Robinson maybe, like Austin Jackson, like Holland, like Jaylen Phillips, but those guys aren't your true core foundation pieces. We know who they are. And aside from just having everyone lined up together on the same page, kind of on the same time frame, as I said, the more important thing this does for the Miami Dolphins organization is it brings them stability, something this organization hasn't had in decades. And I'm just spitting some facts here, folks. The Miami Dolphins off the field and from a front office perspective have been a dumpster fire for 20 years. They've been one of the laughing stocks around the league, up there with the Washington, now Commanders, up until recently with the Cleveland Browns. Like, Miami's been the bottom of the barrel, okay? Everything Don Shula built was destroyed and torn down. Like, they were, when Shula was here into Jimmy, this was like one of the top NFL franchises in the league, a franchise every other team looked at as like, we want to be like them. We got to be like them. We strive to be like them. It hadn't been that way since the mid-90s or late 90s. We have just been a laughingstock. It's been so bad recently that when the Miami Dolphins have a head coaching spot open, like, assistant coaches who've never been head coaches before refuse to take the interview with Miami. They don't even want the job. These are guys who would be first-time head coaches who have never been offered a job before. They have a chance to sit down for a head coaching job. One of only 32 jobs in the league, 32 jobs on planet Earth. They go, no, we're good. We don't want to meet with you. Why? Because no one wants to work for the owner, Mr. Ross. Nobody wants to be saddled with Chris Grier. So having some stability here, and Mike McDaniel's going to be here for a while. He's already been here for 2 years, going to be here for a few more at least, goes a long way into turning around the image of not only Mr. Ross, but also the organization. Because right now the constant turnover is on pause for a bit. And that's going to rehab their images. And it's also going to rehab the image of Chris Grier. Because this lawsuit here by Brian Flores, it will go to court someday. And when that happens, it's going to put a bad spotlight on the Dolphins. And the one thing they don't want is drama, chaos, and instability in the front office when that does happen. because that story ain't going away. I know fans don't want to talk about, don't want to think about, but that story ain't going away. So having stability here in the organization is a good look. As they say, good optics. And plus, it kind of makes sense because, and I know some fans won't agree with this, but it's just true. Mike McDaniel's earned this. Like, he took the Dolphins to the playoffs in back-to-back years, I think for the first time since 1994. It's been a long, long time. The other thing he's done is he's installed a modern-day offense, and that's like what teams that win in this league run, and it has a proven track record, and it was the number 1 ranked offense in the entire NFL last year. So that's something previous head coaches just failed to do. Flores didn't do it. Adam Gase, he was an offensive genius. No, he wasn't. He didn't do it. Joe Philbin. Oh, he helped save Aaron Rodgers. Joe Philbin didn't do it. Like, there is something to be said for installing that type of offense and having the success that he's had the first 2 years in Miami. And again, you know, he's kind of earned this. He salvaged the number 5 pick of the draft in Tua Tagovailoa. Tua's first 2 years with Flores, we all know the story. I'm not going to rehash it, but they were bad. And that pick looked like a bust some 30 months ago or so, roughly. Maybe not quite 30, but close enough. And he came in and he salvaged the pick. So I don't care what you think of Tua. He's overrated. He's great. He sucks. He's okay. He's a capable NFL quarterback who led the league in passing last year and has proven, you know, he can win games in this league. Now, has he proven he can win playoff games and take us to a Super Bowl? No, but now we got time to see. And the guy who has salvaged that pick deserves more time to see if he can get more out of that quarterback and take us to where we want to go. Is Mike McDaniel the perfect coach? No, of course not. There are fair criticisms to have of him. He can't win a challenge to save his life. His special teams units suck. He's on his 3rd defensive coordinator in 3 years. The last 2 years, after an 8-3 start and a 9-3 start, he has squandered the AFC East and ends up as a wild card team, and his teams have collapsed down the stretch. He has questionable play calling at times on 3rd downs and 4th downs when he's running the ball well and he gets away from the run. And at times, he is too invested in the offense and is not paying enough attention to the defense, i.e. letting Chubb go on the field in a blowout, and then he gets hurt when Chubb should not have been on the field. He's just, you know, there are fair criticisms of him, but the good outweighs the bad, and it outweighs it by a lot. The Dolphins are betting on Mike McDaniel to fix some of those issues and things that I just mentioned, and all those things I mentioned are easily correctable. I didn't mention anything that's a huge red flag there. Hopefully with Weaver, he's found his coordinator who will last at least a couple years. Special teams, I don't know. But again, maybe that sort of ties hand in hand with not being so invested into the offense and being the head coach of the entire team. So hopefully he can fix that stuff around. On the challenge thing, it didn't go well this preseason to make it seem like that's going to improve, but that's a preseason, so we'll wait till the games count for real. Hopefully get a new system in place where the challenges will start to go in his favor instead of losing virtually all of them. Those are all correctable things. Those are not big issue things. Like if he had horrible, like if there are big things in this league with head coaches, like Robert Saleh for the Jets. And this is not a cheap knock on the Jets. You watch a Jets game, that dude looks like a deer in the headlights. Like he has no idea what's going on the sideline. He just looks like a deer in the headlights. And there's a few coaches that way who look like they are in so far over their head. Hell, we've hired a couple. Cam Cameron to name one. They're so far in over their head, they don't have control of the sideline. They don't have control of the game. And Mike McDaniel's not that. That would be a major red flag. These are minor red flags. So we will see if the Dolphins are right, but it's a smart bet, smart business what they did here in giving him this extension. Look, we're all on the same page now, okay? Tua got paid, life-changing money. He's set for life. Tyreek got a huge payday, another huge payday. Tyreek's got enough money, set for life. Waddle got his big payday, set for life. McDaniel got his big payday, set for life. Nobody's on the hot seat. This won't be anyone's final year in Miami now. Everyone's got that generational wealth now. It's just time to go out there and prove it and win. It's time. There's zero excuses. They got the runway in front of them to win. It starts this year, 2024, but it's really this 3-year winning window to see if they can, exercise some of the demons that this organization has. win the AFC East and win some playoff games. And if it goes further to Super Bowls, that's great. But I won't even put that on them. Let's win the division and win a couple playoff games. Give the fan base a ride into January, into February maybe, but at least through January, get to an AFC title game. Like, that's not asking too much with the level of talent this team has. It's not asking too much. Not saying it will be easy, and I'm not even saying it will happen this year, but they got a 3-year window and some runway in front of them to make it happen. So it's a good signing by the Dolphins to extend them. I like it. I'm in favor of it, and I know there's a portion of this fan base who thinks Miami made a mistake today and gave him the extension too soon, that he needs to prove more. I hear you. Trust me, I hear you. And again, you might be proven right in time, but I think they did the right thing. The fear I have with Mike McDaniel is he's Marvin Lewis. In that, Marvin Lewis was with the Cincinnati Bengals for a very, very long time. And Marvin Lewis, more years than not, was a good coach who got his team into the playoffs, but every year they're out in round one. And there's nothing worse. That, to me, that's NFL purgatory, where you're like a wild card team every year and you never get past the first weekend of the playoffs. Like, you don't have that season that's so good where you make a playoff run, and you're never so bad where you're picking at the top of the draft where you can at least start over and get like a generational quarterback to hopefully change the future of your franchise. You're just a 6 or 7 seed every year out in round one. My fear is if this doesn't work, that's who Mike McDaniel is. After the next 3 to 4 years, we're in the playoffs every year, but we never get past round one. And that is a bad place to be. But again, I think it's smart business to at least go down this road with him, go on this journey with him. Let's see if he does improve some of those things. Let's see where this offense goes as these players who've been in this system now heading into year 3, if this offense continues to evolve, if this offense continues to improve. Because now, when you're the number 1 offense in the league, if you improve now, you can, really take this thing places that would make it, harder for your team to beat. With Tyreek and Waddle and Tua, you got speedy running backs who were all very good, and now you added one this year in Jaylen Wright. Let's see what he can do. You got a tight end now who can make plays. So I think this was a smart move in many areas. 1, he earned it. 2, stability. And 3, it does align everyone together. We sink or swim together. Before I get to the end of the show, a couple shout-outs. First, a shout-out to our friends at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, the largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, a shout-out to our friends on Facebook at the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, please be sure you are a part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page. And wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether it's Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, Podchaser, iHeartRadio, Audible, or on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We're going to have shows each and every day of the week. Next week's game week, we're really going to have you covered. A full slate of our shows. Josh Moser's back. Zach Krant from 560 WQAM. He'll be back. We got, who else we got back? Robert Burns. He'll be in the fold. Myself and Ian will be back on our Wednesday nights. Josh and Aaron will be here twice a week. Tom's here. Marissa and Jason. We are back in full swing as next week the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins will play a week from Sunday, and I cannot wait. That's going to be, I think, a barn burner of a game. So wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching on YouTube, smash it. And also, Dolphins Talk Extra. If you like all those free shows and you like everything we give you for free, Dolphins Talk Extra, either $3 or $5. We do interactive podcasts behind the scenes where you, the listeners, can come on with us. We got fantasy football leagues, survivor pools, pick'em leagues with really cool Miami Dolphins prizes, very rare, limited edition prizes of action figures and bobblehead dolls that you can't get nowhere else, that they've only made 60 or 70 of, that could be worth a lot of money and time. We got that. We got a private message board. So if you don't like social media, Facebook, Twitter, you can chat with other fans of the Dolphins on a private message board that's more laid back, more chill. No one's going to jump down your throats for having an opinion. So check out Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. Trust me, you're going to want to sign up for this if you're a fan of the Dolphins. It's awesome. Okay, before we end this, the Miami Dolphins made a few roster moves today to the practice squad. They had some open spots on the practice squad, so they didn't have to drop anybody. They added 3 players, and I'm just going to go through them here real quick. None of them really have extensive NFL experience. One of them's a little head scratching. The other two just seem ho-hum. The Dolphins added defensive end William Bradley King to the practice squad. 7th round pick in 2021 out of Washington. Spent last season on the Patriots practice squad. Since 2021, he's only played in 4 games, all with Washington. 7 tackles and a half a sack. Total practice squad guy. Another big body for that defensive line. That's really all that is on the practice squad. The head-scratching one is this. You know, I know everyone's been clamoring for the Dolphins to do stuff on the offensive line. Well, they added someone to their offensive line. Offensive tackle Anderson Hardy, who was with the Pittsburgh Steelers this training camp on their 3rd-string offensive line. And I did some research on him because, of course, when it comes to the offensive line, you know, everyone's always so concerned. And the reports out of Pittsburgh were not good in that he struggled mightily in training camp this year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. One reporter that I read online said he was arguably the worst player in all of Pittsburgh Steelers training camp this summer. His words, not mine. In 2023, he went undrafted out of Appalachian State, signed with Kansas City. They cut him last year this time. Then he signed a futures deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's not, and from my research, he's probably not going to make it as an offensive tackle, as he struggled a lot with the Pittsburgh Steelers there. But they seem to think if you slide him inside the guard, there might be something there. Again, practice squad offensive lineman. If the Dolphins are thinking about moving him to guard, which they might be, who knows? Maybe the light bulb then goes off. But as an offensive tackle, from all the reports out of Pittsburgh, he stunk. The Dolphins also signed running back. I'm probably going to say the first name wrong, so I apologize. Deneric Prince. Now, this is why this is interesting. It's not Chris Brooks. It's number 1. And I'll get to that in a bit. 2023, undrafted, signed with Kansas City. Played in 2 games last year with Kansas City. No carries, but he did get a Super Bowl ring, so congratulations to him. In last year's draft, 2023's draft, so not this past year, 2023 draft, he was projected by some to be a 3rd-round pick or so. He went undrafted. So this guy, there might be some talent there, as many thought he would be picked around 3 in 2023. He wasn't. He went totally undrafted. Now, that might be medical issues. That might be off-the-field stuff that we don't know about. Could be. But he went undrafted, signed with the Chiefs. He got a ring, even though he was only active for 2 games. That's how it works. And they've added him to the practice squad. And it's not Chris Brooks. I know a lot of fans of the Dolphins really love Chris Brooks and all that stuff like that. Here's the deal, folks. Chris Brooks, and I've said this before, and I'll probably last time I'm ever going to have to say it because he gone and he coming back. Chris Brooks is not a Mike McDaniel running back. Mike McDaniel wants fast running backs. He don't want the big bruiser. He doesn't want 2 fast running backs and 1 big back. He wants 3 fast running backs. And this Prince is a 4.4 speed guy. Very fast. Chris Brooks ain't that. He ain't 4.4. He ain't close to 4.4. He's a bigger back, bruiser back. Mike McDaniel doesn't want that. And I know people are going to say, but Chris Brooks is really good. Chris Brooks made 1 long run versus the Denver Broncos on a day the Broncos weren't tackling anybody. Chris Brooks made 1 long run week 2 of this preseason versus Washington. Outside of that, Chris Brooks has proven nothing. And I'm not knocking the kid. He's a nice kid. I hope someone signs him and he finds work somewhere. But this guy here, Prince, is more of a Mike McDaniel back. So I understand why they're not going to hold on to Brooks and they're going to move forward with someone like this. Makes all the sense in the world. Another thing. Quarterback. I know there was that report this week that the Browns, they carried 4 quarterbacks looking to trade some. And the one guy they were looking to trade was Tyler Huntley, who they were in talks with like 5 or 6 teams. Miami was one of them. Nobody ended up trading for him. So he was released. And everyone thought, well, if he's released and all these teams are thinking about trading for him, you know, someone's going to put in a waiver claim. Well, nobody put in a waiver claim. So Tyler Huntley is now signing with the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry. He's now signing with his old team, the Baltimore Ravens. So Huntley's going back to Baltimore. And Miami, they're going to ride this out with Tim Boyle, baby. Good God, give me a drink. They are literally going to keep Tim Boyle on this roster. They had a chance, obviously, to sign Huntley. Maybe they did make an offer to sign him. Well, they didn't put in a waiver claim on him, so there's that. If they offered to sign him, I don't know. But even if they did, he decided, screw that, I'm going back to Baltimore. At least I know those people. So Tyler Huntley won't be coming to Miami. We can put it. I don't think he was a scheme fit for Miami. Not that Tim Boyle is. Tim Boyle's god-awful. But Huntley really wasn't a scheme fit for Miami. Again, to be in this Mike McDaniel offense, I know for a 3rd quarterback, even a backup, you're not going to get anyone who's polished or perfect, but you got to have some accuracy, and you got to have a quick mental clock to get the ball out fast. I don't know if Tyler Huntley checks either one of those types of boxes. So I was a little surprised that they were even talking to him, or they were talking to the Browns about trading for him, but apparently that went nowhere, as with every other team. And they're just going to ride it out with Tim Boyle as the third quarterback here on the practice squad. So yeah, that's it. Again, the big news, Mike McDaniel gets that extension. So good news for him. Again, everyone have a great Labor Day weekend, man. Everyone seriously have a great Labor Day weekend. Enjoy some college football. There's so many good games. Thursday night was awesome. I'm recording this right before the games on Friday night are about to start. Really, everyone enjoy some college football this weekend. If you're a fan of the Hurricanes, which we have a lot of fans who are, big game this weekend versus Florida. I really don't care who wins, but I hope the team you're rooting for, whoever you're rooting for, wins. Again, check out the website, DolphinsTalk.com, for all the latest on the Miami Dolphins. Visit us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Dolphins Talk. If you want to buy the shirt, again, you're more worried about the offensive line than we are. Go to DolphinsTalk.com, click on the Dolphins Dive. I'll tweet out a link to it as well if you're on Twitter, so you can find a link there to purchase it there. And wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you again after a while. Folks, don't forget, we must put an end to highway profanity.